have a lot more faces than you see on television.
I think a lot of media outlets need to start hiring people who are actually of that minority to write for themselves. I'm so sick of Asian characters being handled by like really stupid male white straight writers who will always throw us into the stereotype category.
Aziz Ansari, he's a very good example of of sort of breaking the myth, because he's just a regular brown guy. He's just an American brown guy, and that's all he is. And it's actually like a very refreshing thing to see, because you don't see that very often.
I know a lot of people say it's not our job to educate, and I understand that completely. But I think it's just kind of educating people, because most of these people who I've encountered are just very, very ignorant.
Like, honestly, I didn't really know it was a problem until recently. So I think like if people are, like a lot of Asians in the community, they don't even know it's a problem.
Like when those jokes were being made in school, a majority of the kids making them were the Indians.
So if we're talking to like a 14-year-old Asian girl who's applying to college, we shouldn't be being like, oh, like are your SAT scores as high as your like Asian American peers and like all of that kind of thing. Like just acknowledging that an individual is an individual with their own interests and skills that may not, correspond to broader stereotypes.
It seems to a lot of people that a myth like this will better the experience of a marginalized group like Asian Americans in this country, when in reality it's actually like very oppressive and very tokenizing. So talking about this to especially privileged peoples who don't see the problem in it, I think is the first step.
Even just educating people about the culture and like being like, no, my parents don't beat me up every time I get a B in an essay or some shit like that. Like fuck you for thinking that. It's all false.
Disassociating the image of the model minority with the friends that you know. Because for me, even though I had people that I called friends, I still experienced forms of discrimination from them. And even though it didn't hurt me, it still affected the way that I viewed myself.
A lot of people are experiencing injustices, that there are Asians that are suffering below the poverty line, that we're not erasing other Asian identities, that we're not erasing, a lot of South Asian identities are erased when we talk about, Asian people as a whole collective minority.
Or sometimes just any other nationality that isn't like Chinese or Japanese or Korean, which are the three main nationalities that are seen most prominently. But that there are so many different families all over America who are struggling just as much as any other minority. And once you take that into account and realize that they have to be represented, they have to be seen, they can't just disappear because of this myth.
We still have no language to talk about race, privilege, and power in our own way. Because we subscribe to the language that we are used in daily mass media with like black and white racism, we don't see ourselves in that picture. But that has to change in order for us to put an end to this, because if we don't have the words, or if we don't have the platform in order to describe what's happening and describe our place in the picture, that's the first step, and we haven't even gotten there.